What is going on? This is Courtney Rollins, CEO of Aqua Properties, also head of acquisitions. And we are going over the Aqua Properties sales process and sales script. Now, this script is ever evolving. However, it is rooted in the Sandler systems of training. Sandler was an awesome, amazing guy who did tons of innovation in the field of sales. And we are definitely appreciative of his work and the work of others that come after him, such as John Martinez and the Steve Trangs and the Todd Tobacks, who helped us evolve and adapt the system that we think is allowing us to make an impact and acquire these deals and offer great source deals to our investors. So let's take a look. Let's see, boom. You will have a link, and that link is a live link straight to a Google document, so that if changes or adjustments are made, we can have those readily available to you. But for the most part, there's a 7-part sales system, and it operates very much like that submarine that Sandler talks about. Once you close one compartment, you go on to the next, and then you go on to the next, go on to the next. But it is not meant to be a something that you just read like it's like a script. It's more, it allows opportunity for us to be conversational and really discover a lot of things about our sellers that allow us to see if we can serve them. So you have the first part, which is the disruption of the pattern and the introduction of our value proposition. Then we move on to setting the rules, or we call setting the expectations. And then you move on to the discovery period, where you are seeking the pain and figuring out what is the issue there. And we qualify these using an acronym called CPR Time: the condition of the property, the price that the seller is looking for, the reason that they're selling, which is the most important, and what is their timeline. And as we continue to do that, we help them discover the impact of the pain or the issue that they're dealing with, if there is one there. And then we discuss the value that we can add to respond to the pain, as we continue to look for deal breakers that may challenge or cause the deal to fall off, which allows us to see if there's another opportunity to add value, and which leads on to the either handoff to an acquisition specialist or the close, which leads to the contract. So you see this here, the cold calling pre-qualification script. We are primarily focused on cold calling, which means we're calling folks who we hadn't spoken to before. And quite often that means we're in front of them before the sales cycle. If this was an inbound call, or someone looking us up digitally, or from from some of our mailings and calling us, that's a different type of a lead, which still could go through similar conversations. But we have to recognize that we are really in front of the seller. So we need to make sure that those first 5 seconds give us the opportunity and earn the right for the next 5 seconds, and so on and so forth. And so that pattern disruption is you beginning with a very friendly assumption that you have the person's name, and you're quite often going to use their first name. So it's like, hey, John, I'm Courtney with Aqua Properties. I know this call's a little out of the blue, but I'm calling you about a property I think you own over at 123 4th Street. Yeah, I want to see if you consider offering your property there. Did I catch you at a bad time? So right there, you're jumping in, you let them know who you are, you're doing a little more pattern disruption by, with the hesitation of, I think you own this property here, and wanted to see if you would consider offering your property there. Did I catch you at a bad time? This gives the seller an opportunity to say no, which straight from the school of Chris Voss, gives the seller the feeling of control, as opposed to the old school model of getting to yes. So they'll say either no, this is not a bad time, or yes, it's a bad time. There's really only 6 responses that a seller is going to give, and we'll go into that in a little more detail as we go down. And as you get repetitions in, you'll recognize those 6 responses as well, and be very, very well suited to respond to any of them. Now, if you can't pronounce the owner's name, then you're going to say, hey, I'm looking for the owner of, and then you fill in the name there. All right. Now, if the seller says, yes, it's a bad time. Okay, gotcha. Well, when's a good time to call you back? You're always ending with a question so that you can remain in control, or ending with a inquiry, or helping set the next steps, which is allows you to, again, remain in control of the conversation. The person talking the least amount is usually the person in control of the conversation, particularly if you're leading with open-ended questions. So if they don't have a time, or if they say this is a bad time, okay, when's a good time to call you back? Great. Well, I'll give you a call at, and then you insert. So they say, call me tomorrow. Oh, great. I'll give you a call tomorrow, 9 a.m. in the morning. Or I'll give you a call tomorrow at 10 a.m. in the morning. And you'll make note of that in the system and push them on up to a yes or maybe, because it sounds like they want to possibly sell the property. But you'll clarify by saying, just to be clear, you aren't interested in discussing selling your property, are you? Again, getting to know. If the seller says no, oh, gotcha. Okay, well, completely understand. Then, as always, we want to every chance there's an opportunity for you to see if there's more properties or opportunities there to add value. Do you have any other properties or land you may be interested in selling, especially something that needs a little bit of love? Again, if they say no, okay, well, thanks. I'll update my records and we won't bug you. Take care. There's no need to spend more time on a seller that is not motivated or doesn't have an issue that we can respond to. You'll take notes in the dialer. You'll select post on the dialer so that it actually posts, and then you'll select the right feature, which in this case would be a no, and move on to the next one. If they do say yes, well, awesome. We look forward to chatting with you about your property later. Take care. All right. And so some notes is really important to understand that, again, that concept, the first 20 seconds gives you the next 20 seconds. And you be sure that we're friendly, you're smiling when you're talking, even if you don't see them, that comes out, that energy comes out, and you use their first name so that it really feels like you're next to them. Now, there may be some cultural differences where you decide as a judgment basis to use their last name, but that is more subjective than a cultural. But you really want to feel like you're talking to someone next door and that you all are like shoulder to shoulder, side by side, as opposed to confronting the seller. Another really important thing psychologically to do is to tone of the seller is very important. Your tone is very important, and you need to mirror the seller's tone. If they're upbeat, then you need to have upbeat tone. If they're low timber or low register, you need to have a lower register. Now, it still needs to be authentic, but we as humans, we connect with people we feel like we have something in common with, and one great hack for that is the tone of voice. And again, if you can't pronounce their name, make sure that you're using the owner's name. Now, setting the stage, CPR time. It is very important. People love rules. When you know the rules of the game, you know how to play it, it's good to go. So when you set the tone, you're like setting the rules. All right, here's what the situation is, and this is what the next possible outcomes are going to be. Make sure that it's clear. And that's something throughout, especially at the end of the conversation, when you're moving to the next stage and at the beginning of conversations. Well, great. We base our offers off the condition of the property, the market value, and of course, the seller's situation. It usually takes about 5 to 7 minutes to see if we're the buyers for you. So does that work for you? Sure. All right. Awesome. So what can you tell me about the property? This is where you jump into the CPR time, and at the bottom of this, you'll see tons of questions that are qualified for CPR time, so that you're taking nice notes, so that the acquisition manager or you later on can respond to those material. It allows us to see what type of offer we can make. The seller might say, well, what's your offer? And that's your opportunity to, we never want to really give an offer. We're not in the business of just giving offers. We're in the business of buying the property. So the seller asked that, which is an understandable question. Okay, well, great. My partner runs all the numbers. And so once I get more information from you, I can share that with him, and then we can discuss that. And then you do a complete reversal where you respond with a question. So have any major updates been done in the last to the kitchen and bath in the last 5 years? Which is a yes or no question, which I don't like. So how about what have you done? Really see, we're doing it live here. What have you done to, let's say, the kitchen and bath? You can say it like that, but you're really trying to ask an open-ended question so that they can start talking. And that's where discovery is, Now, really, to be quite honest, the condition and all those stuff are important aspects, but we're really trying to figure out what the pain points are. We're really in the solving problem business. We're not necessarily in the brick and mortar of the real estate world business. That's actually just a secondary aspect of what we do, but we're really in the business of solving the problem of the seller. And to do that, we have to know what the problems are. And sometimes the seller doesn't know. So that's why asking really strong questions helps us do that. Now, if the seller responds, yeah, maybe in the future. Okay, great. Should I call you back in a month? I'm really looking for something that needs love. And then you can go back to asking those open-ended questions and all, so you can get a little bit more information. Now, if they tell you what time to call back, awesome. Make a note, you're typing it up. And what we tend to do is whatever the seller says, we tend to cut it in half. So if they want us to call it back in a year, I'm definitely calling you back in maybe 4 months, 5 months, some type of impression, or at least 6 months. And tell them, okay, please save my name or our name as Courtney Homebuyer or Aqua Team Homebuyers in your phone, in case anything changes. You'll continue to make notes. You'll post the notes before you hit any category, which is so important, because if you hit yes or maybe, then it's going to send it to the next stage of our sales process, but it will not have the important notes that you took so well. If the seller responds, how'd you get my number? Which is one of the other of the 6 responses you're going to get. Say, well, we looked it up in the database for public records database, and it's the address we're interested in buying. Sometimes we get the number right, sometimes we don't. Are you interested in selling? Again, reversal, getting back on the control of the conversation by having them talk by responding to your question. The seller asks, who are you? So we're just some, local real estate buyers. We really don't like to use the word investors for most of the parts, but we're local home buyers or real estate buyers looking to do some, tasteful rehabs in the area. Are you interested in selling? Again, flipping it back to asking the question and continuing with CPR time if that's the case. Now, remember, we're following that process to make sure that we are constantly building rapport and constantly asking the questions that are going to allow us to see what pain they have, if any, and to explore the impact of that pain on their life, if any, and to find out if there's any deal breakers that we need to address, and then be able to set the next stage so that we can get that pre-commitment so that we can get closer to solving their problem and hopefully turning into receiving the contract. And again, it's not about the property, really. People work with who they like. We can't convince anyone, and we don't want to try to convince anyone to sell their property to us. If they have a need or they have a pain, they're going to eventually sell the property, even if they're the most, they procrastinate tons of time. They're going to sell the property eventually. Or something's going to happen eventually. The difference is if they're going to sell it to us. And the way we can distinguish ourselves is making sure we exude certainty, competency, and likability. And certainty doesn't mean that we say, hey, we definitely can buy this property. We definitely can do that. In fact, certainty shows that, and competency shows that, hey, we're trying to see if this is the property we want to buy. And we're so certain on our business model and so confident in what we do that we're not going to buy properties that don't fit our model. So we're trying to see if yours fits ours. You almost have the sellers trying to convince you to sell the property. And that is a great, great place to be. We are here to serve. We are person-centered. So we need to make sure we always have that in the forefront. Good things, great things happen the more value we add. So even if it's not us receiving the property, if we're putting out good energy and serving folks out there, it's the universal law. It comes back. Setting expectations, again, is so important. That's how you build credibility. That's how you build competency. People like not necessarily be told what to do, because that goes against what I was saying about buying and selling, but people do like having certainty that, oh, this person understands what they're doing. And they do that by setting the clear roles and expectations, clarity. So I'm going to talk to you. We're going to find out if this is a yes or no to buy the property. And after that, you're going to tell me yes or no. No maybes and nothing like that. It's yes or no, right? Cool. Or, hey, all right, what I'm going to do is you're going to go talk to your wife, and we're all going to get on the same phone tomorrow, or you'll talk to the acquisition manager tomorrow, but this is the next step. Or, hey, I'm calling you next. Though you're just setting the steps, setting the stage along the way. Yep. Uncovering the pain. Now, after you've established the rules, you're going to be asking questions to uncover the pain. And remember, we are biological beings. We're not necessarily logical beings. So buying is an emotional process. That's why it's so important to connect the conversation to the pain that they may have. All right. We decide emotionally and we rationalize our choices, then intellectually. That is the truth. If it's not the truth, it's not the truth. That's the truth. We must have a detached connection with the sale. We're always pulling away. So we'll go over some of these strategies and details in more detail during our ongoing sales training. But the concept is almost like chasing the dog. You chase the dog, what's it going to do? Run. But if you attract the dog, you make yourself, smell like meat or whatever it is, or you run away, or you play game, they're going to come chase you. So we're always constantly pulling away from the sale. And that helps our seller clarify what options they have. So for instance, hey, why don't you list this on the market? Hey, you should, do the repair yourself. Or hey, why don't you work with the tenant who's not paying and figure out how to, do this or this or that. And possibly they'll take you up on that. And that's great. We've added value, comes back to us in the universe. or they recognize, hey, that's actually a lot of pain and challenges, and I am very thankful that you're giving me the speed and convenience to take care of this, and I'm going to therefore give you a discounted property. Again, we're not trying to convince anyone. Don't ask questions in areas you're not aware of. We're only really asking questions that we are capable of understanding or responding to, and take notes on everything. Possible questions that lead to asking pain is like, what was that like? Why do you want to sell the property? How is that impacting you? When do you want to sell? And so if we agreed on a price, well, what would be your timeline? Those are great ways to pull out what their motivation is and what the timeline reveals a lot about motivation. Have you tried selling with the realtor? Why or why not? Since we buy properties as is, what kind of repairs does it need? Now, these are not like really, rapid fire interview. Make sure they're in a controlled, conversational manner. Yep. So, yeah, we're similar to the doctor at the bedside. Someone may come in and assume that they want a certain prescription or maybe not need something, but with our inquiry, just like a doctor or a nurse, we can help them recognize this is actually the prognosis and this is actually the prescription you possibly need. Whether you take it or not, it's up to you. Asking questions of how that's affecting you is really important. Well, how was it working with that realtor in the past? Oh man, that sounds painful. We do a lot of emotional labeling here where we show that we're actively listening by labeling the pain or the emotion we hear. Oh, you sound very excited about that. Or this sounds like it was a very personal property. It means a lot to you. It really, really goes a long way in building rapport and establishing a connection that allows us to dig even deeper and understand what's happening here. All right. And again, you're saying stuff so matter of factly and without hesitation that it does give you that sense of competency and consultant. Think again, consultant. The doctor is very much like a consultant. Here I discuss pulling away a little bit more here, but yeah. Now, if it sounds like it's really hot, and you're definitely going to reference the pain point and dig into it. Well, it sounds like this tenant is pretty challenging. Well, let me make sure I understand. All right, so you have a tenant that's been in there for 2 years and they haven't paid in the last 10 months. Okay, so if we were able to take care of that, when would you look to close, or what's the lowest price you can do for us? And again, we're not saying, hey, we can do that, we can do that, we can do that, oh, we can do that, we can do that. That is hunger deal breath, and we don't want to do that. In fact, it's always okay, let me see if we're able to do that for you. That sounds like something we've done in the past. We may be able to do this. Let me, check with my team to see. Again, you're getting on the same side of the table. It's us trying to solve this issue together. But you do show them that you recognize what the issues are or is. The possible questions like you're trying to get the price, I guess, to get price, I guess is a better word to say than offer. We're live. So what's the price you'd like to have to be able to do this deal? Do you happen to know what properties are in the area going for, or what are they going for? Now, what do you expect to get? What do you want to happen here? Now, if they keep pushing about, okay, what's your price, what's your price, what's your price? There are things you can do. It's like, well, we would like to be in the range of, and you may go to Zillow or use some of the other tools that we share in other videos on how to get the comp and say, like, this is the range we like to be in, but you never like really hold yourself to those, but saying the range, or this is what other people are buying for, or this is what we bought for, gives us the opportunity to gauge if they're even, if it's realistic. And we're talking about the pull away again. Now, addressing the pain point. Now, okay. Now, if we agreed on price, is there anything else stopping us from moving forward today? Well, I got a bunch of stuff in there I need to move out. Okay, you have a bunch of things in there, you need to move out. That's mirroring, repeating what they're saying, but you're figuring out, oh, I need to talk to my wife. Oh, okay, well, you talk to wife. Well, great. Well, cool. Well, sounds like perhaps we should all sit down and talk together. I definitely want to make sure we're all on the same page if we decide to move forward. Stuff like that allows you to address these deals. We need to find, are these deal breakers? We need to find the deal breakers. Is there anyone we need to speak to before we move forward? Should we set up a time for folks to talk? And one great question is, shout out to Steve Trang, is, so now that we've agreed on terms, what's next? And quite often like, well, I guess you send over the paperwork or something like that, and that's awesome. Or this is what I need to do next. And then you're setting the expectations again, continue to reset the rules, expectations. Okay, so you figure this out, but you do this, you do that, then we'll decide if we're going to say yes or no. All right. Okay. All right. So how about you do that, and I'll call you back within an hour, or this or that, or I'll go do this and I'll call you back within whatever time, or this is what we're doing. But you're setting the expectations, setting the rules, and rocking with it. All right. Now either closing the deal or handing it off. So if you're cold calling, it sounds like this property might fit our description. Next step for me is to share it with the acquisition team, and we'll have Courtney or someone on the team give you a call later today. Is that possible? Or tomorrow, does that work? We do want to have a sense of urgency, but we also want to give our acquisitions team opportunity to respond. If it's a hot deal, we'll just jump on Slack or whatever tool we're using to communicate with each other to let the acquisition team know so they can jump on it. And if it's one that needs to be nurtured some more, we still are by clicking the yes or maybe, giving the lead manager an opportunity to look at the call and set it up for the next step. And again, you see how we're setting the next step. We're setting the expectations here. So the next step is send over the purchase agreement. If you're at that point where you do agree, and they do say, okay, what's next? We're sending over the purchase agreement. Okay. Well, the next step is for us to send over the purchase agreement. We'll go over it with you. And once it's signed, we'll send it to the title company. They will contact you within 24 hours to set up the next steps for you. Give them a clear picture of what's next. Now, purchase agreement is pretty straightforward, but we definitely want to review it to be able to answer any questions you have. So what's a good email that I can send it over to you? All right, great, thanks. All right, be on the lookout for the document. I usually use HelloSign from HelloSign, and let me know when we receive it. And we can go over it together. I'll call you back in about 10 minutes, and then you'll go over the purchase agreement with you, which is on a different training. We'll be able to provide that for you. Now, if the seller wants an appointment, okay, what time works best for you? We can either do and give them 2 times. We can either do, you may by we may do before 10, or we can do after 4. And probably about an hour. Is that going to be okay? Awesome. Great. So then you repeat. So we're going to see you Thursday at this time. And remember, the whole purpose of the meeting is for us to have a conversation so we can figure out whether or not we're able to help you. I just have one request, John. If for any reason you don't think we can help you, or you decide that you wouldn't want to work with us, totally okay. Are you okay with telling us no? Because we definitely don't want you to tell us to think it over when you really mean no, okay? We want to be able to give them the opportunity to say no. All right, John, well, we'll see you blah, blah, blah time, and we're set to go. And it's funny, this is a real interesting concept here. Time kills all deal, but we also want to slow down as well. It's interesting. Like, we want to have urgency, but we don't want to rush into the offer presentation yet. It's important to make sure the seller signs or is ready to sign and move forward before we rush them into there. Now, and if they do say no, that's more for acquisitions, but you can always go back to the rules that you set. Oh, sorry, John, help me understand. I thought we agreed that, the price and this or that, and that you were ready to move forward, but it sounds like you're not. Okay, and so those are different type of techniques that we'll use to either close the deal or hand it off. You have other resources here that I definitely want you to dig into. Great open-ended questions quite often, and comments and statements that help you in some of these areas. And these are the things that we go over in our sales training. So hope these are helpful to you and allow us to be able to support our sellers. Yep. Oh, here's the old school TTP videos, but I definitely want our team to focus on the techniques that we've evolved into and used. And at the very bottom is a little example of a sales process that we're going over. All right. This is more for inbound calls, and we can go over that in the next video if you are an inbound call manager, but I want to go ahead and stay focused on the cold calling and acquisitions. Hope this is helpful for you, and thanks so much for being such an awesome person and being a part of the team. It's Courtney Rollins signing off, saying rising tides, it lifts all sails. And how do I stop this? I don't know. There we go.